Whoops. Hello! The dating and schizoid thing, 2024 edition. Sorry, I'm so distracted. It's so hard to make videos at the moment. So I'm just tired all the time and, yes, distracted because I was just alerted very late to the whole thing about Ben Shapiro rapping and, you know, the guy has a sense of humor. Oh my god, some of the lyrics though, like, what would Ben do? Anyway, and then his reaction to people reacting. Oh dear. So that's a thing, completely off topic, that you can go and have a look at and see what's distracting me today. Thank you to my band for sending me that. The dating and schizoid thing, let's try and get on topic. Well, you guys have voted. There it is. Overwhelmingly, you people want me to do this. I assume it's because either you're a normal, well-adjusted person who is inexplicably watching my channel or coming across my poll for whatever reason, and you think relationships are the best thing ever, that everyone should go for it, and yeah. Or you're one of my regular mentally ill crew, and you would like me to go and do it so that you don't have to. Although, the actual votes were mainly do it for science and do it for the inevitable vlogs complaining about everything, which is what happened last year, around this time last year, September. To recap, you can find these, I'll see if I can find the videos and chuck them in the description if you want to relive that madness. But, yeah, I tried a couple of dating apps. What were they? Like, I think it was Bumble and Hinge, which I think you guys told me were the least creepy, horrible ones. Yeah, and I didn't even last a week. But, yeah, as this community post, that way, as that says, I've discovered that there are other options. I mean, I kind of knew about them, but, I don't even know. I don't even remember why it occurred to me, because I didn't make this video fast enough. But yeah, there's, like, in real life options, which I haven't tried. Oh, that's right. I think I thought of this stuff because I was stressed about my life. Because family stuff and just my life being super stagnant, and it's an act of desperation to try and change my situation in some way because I keep not winning the lotto. Although I do have a couple of tickets that I need to check that I got for my birthday, so I don't think any of them, like, won anything major, but maybe I can get a few extra coin to fund my next lotto spend. Anyway, this is sort of the ABBA money, money, money approach, you know. How does that song go? I work all night, I work all day, which I don't, to pay the bills I have to pay. Ain't it sad? And still there never seems to be a single penny left for me. That's too bad. So in my dreams, I have a plan. If I got me a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work at all. I'd fool around and have a ball. I think on my music channel, I might have, you know, I've got a really old music channel that I haven't touched in ages. I think I did like a karaoke track or something, so you can sing along to that. Anyway, cynical shit. I don't remember what prompted me to do it last year. Last year was a really bad year for me. It's probably similar stuff. Life stress, desperately trying to figure out how do I change my life. And I think, yeah, I kind of need money to escape. I live with my parents, if you didn't know, because I am just, like, I should have moved out in my late teens, early 20s, but I didn't know all this stuff at the time, and now I am too old and broken and don't have the energy that I used to have, that might have made it workable, and my mental health keeps getting worse, so then I have even less energy. So I'm stuck living with my parents. It's okay sometimes, it's a cheap way to live, but then there's interpersonal stress, and I think it is, let me just get this out of the way, I think it is sort of reinforcing a lot of my issues, so I'm going to therapy, I'm putting the work in, but I realize, and my therapist realized, my psychologist, a big part of why my mental health keeps getting worse is because my situation hasn't changed, the situation that essentially gave me a lot of my mental illness problems in the first place. Now there are other factors like school, did not really get, like, you know, I grew up before mental health awareness was really a thing. I am that old. Yeah, but there's just, like, ongoing stress living here. And I think my therapist, she described it as, like, being re-traumatized. And yeah, I think that's a big part of why my life keeps getting worse. Also, I keep trying things and nothing seems to work out. I think it's because too often I have to rely on people and people suck. But unfortunately, we live in a world where socializing is how you kind of, like, you can't avoid people altogether, because people, like, even if you tried to live at home, people still deliver stuff. And oh my god, lately, I know this is not exactly on the topic of dating, it's just my life to start off with. I will get up to, like, the dating stuff eventually, apart from singing ABBA. But, you know, like, even if I had my own little hermit house, if you want supplies, it's very hard to be self-sufficient. That's why we are a cooperative species, and that's how we've become so successful. So, like, I could get supplies delivered, but I don't know if it's just because I'm interacting with the world more these days, or if there's been an actual decline in quality in people's efforts, but I'm coming across so many issues. I still haven't made that goddamn video about companies I don't like anymore. But, like, you know, getting all these deliveries, and there's so many things that keep going wrong in just, like, every way. I'm constantly being let down by people, even people I don't see. They just happen to be in the supply chain getting things to me and screwing everything up. And it's super frustrating. It's like, you can't really escape being social unless you're someone who really has the energy to fully do the self-sufficient thing. But how do you manage that? And you're still going to be living on land that is generally claimed by a country, so good luck to you truly escaping society. And we are a social species, as I mentioned, you know, it's part of our evolution, and all this kind of stuff. So I've had a few comments lately, people going, you know, they've discovered my original schizoid video, and they're going, oh, how is this a disorder? And they seem to be schizoids who don't want to admit that there's a problem. It's like, how is this a disorder? You know, there's no distress, blah, blah, blah. But the fact is, we live in a social world. And so while we don't feel like there's any problem with how we are rejecting people, if you sort of step back and take a more objective look, like, that's subjective shit. If you take a more objective look, we are not functioning in the world that we're stuck in. You know, it's a bit like the whole autistic neurodiversity activism thing where, you know, they completely ignore the severe cases, of course, but the mild autistic saying, oh, you know, we're just different, it's just that the world isn't set up for us, blah, blah. Okay, but you still live in this world. The world isn't going to change enough that people with mild autism can just get through fine. That's not how life works. There's only so much that we can change, and at some point, the only option we have is to kind of change ourselves. And I know there's a lot of, like, be true to yourself kind of stuff, but, you know, there's limits to that. There's only so much you can be true to yourself while still, you know, I mean, like, you can't go out and murder a bunch of people just because that's what you think is true to yourself. Do you know what I mean? There's consequences for your choices. Yeah, anyway, so, like, a lot of this... Oh, and this is what I get for not scripting and not even having dot points for what I want to talk about. Anyway, no, so, like, my mental health's getting worse and I'm stuck in a situation. I figure I need to escape. I don't have the energy to escape in the normal way, so I'm like, well, what I need is a lot of money. My 3 options to make a lot of money, which are all completely unrealistic, is 1, win the lotto big enough that I can buy myself a little house somewhere and invest enough that I have an ongoing income without having to rely on the government judging my fate. 2, the ABBA strategy of finding the rich man, preferably one who is not going to be around for too long to bother me, unless, well, I'll get to that. Or 3, somehow blow up on YouTube and make money that way, but as we've seen, I mean, my camera won't even focus half the time. I am not... like, it's the same thing with being able to move out the conventional way, like to do YouTube properly. You need to do it following certain conventions to become successful. Like, it's very hard. You would have to be very lucky, so basically winning the lottery, to get big on YouTube without doing the things that you're supposed to do. My channel is too chaotic, and I have no desire to change that, because if I ever tried to make my channel fit some particular niche or aim for success, it would feel too much like a chore and I wouldn't want to do it. And like, even at the moment, I'm going through a bit of a period where making videos feels difficult. I don't know why. My brain shifts through different phases, and that's just not what my brain wants to do at the moment, but I have a backlog of videos in my head that I wanted to make. So I need to start making them, otherwise my brain is going to start bothering me. And, you know, there are some fun things about YouTube. Anyway, I'm basically not going to make my millions on YouTube. And I'm probably not, like, you know, my chances of winning the lotto are pretty slim. But one that I might have slightly more control over, and that's maybe slightly more realistic, but not by very much, is like the dating thing. Who's calling me? Suspected spam. Get lost. I'm not even going to answer that. Oh, dear, oh dear. That was distracting, as if I need more distractions. Okay, so cynical. Like, I don't remember why I did the dating apps thing last year, but it's probably similar things, and it's definitely been for the wrong reasons. Because, like, yeah, having to go through relationships just to try and find some financial security, and also as a female, that's how you open yourself up to domestic violence, potentially, because if you become financially reliant on someone who's abusive, it's hard for people to escape. That's often why a lot of chicks don't escape, because where are they going to go, and the system's not great, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I get it. It's a cynical kind of look at stuff. It is a sort of act of desperation, like, what else can I try? But also, you know, I've spent a lot of my life trying to handle my mental illness by picking up hobbies. And I pick up hobbies and then I drop them. This is where I get jealous of autistic people, because they find something they like and they go right in and become really good at whatever it is. Whereas I get a little bit good at a lot of things and then lose interest. So the hobbies thing, and like, I'm at the point in my life where I've tried so many hobbies that there's not a lot left to try. So, and then now I know I have schizoid personality disorder, which led me to realize I've got this kind of trauma around my family situation, you know, glass child, blah, blah, parents being kind of not emotionally intelligent. And apparently, one of the hardest things to admit for myself, and I think this is probably a schizoid thing, because schizoids have a certain pride in being able to be alone, in general. Hardest thing for me to admit is my godmother's probably right, my wise godmother, and other people. I probably am, like, deeply sensitive, or I was when I was a kid, and then because of the things that I've gone through and, like, you know, not having my emotional needs met, my brain reacted by shutting that all out. So, yeah, okay. And, like, oh my god, every now and then I remember, like, more stuff from childhood, and I'm like, shit. So, like, with music, you know, there's, like, a lot of songs. One of the reasons I didn't like music as much when I was younger is there's a lot of, like, love songs, and a lot of them are about, like, breakups and how horrible and hard that is. And I actually remember as a kid going, like, well, why would you ever get in a relationship then if pretty much everything ends up in pain? And so that was probably, like, the earliest thought I can remember of going, like, you know what, I just won't do that. Immature kid stuff, whatever, but it did stick with me. And if I was used to being emotionally hurt and then find out about this thing that could emotionally hurt me in other ways later, my brain is like, no, automatically we're not going to do that, if that makes any sense. But yeah, now that I know that I have all these traumas, and schizoid being a defense mechanism, now I gotta say this every time because I never make the video, but I think there's two kinds of schizoid from what I've observed. Keeping in mind I have done no, like, formal research, this is just my own observations based on some of the, like, you know, people talk, like, some of those professionals, some of the notes that I have read, they seem to get a little bit confused. I don't know. I feel like there's two kinds of schizoid. One is, like, pre-schizophrenia or a lesser version of schizophrenia with the negative symptoms. So that's probably more to do with brain chemistry, although sometimes trauma can lead to schizophrenia in different ways. I don't know, it's complicated. But like that one feels like the more severe schizoid, very difficult to change, because they can't even treat negative symptoms of schizophrenia with medication very well as it is. And if that's the only side of it that you get, you know, simple type schizophrenia, which is an outdated term, good luck. But if you're on my side of it, which I think is the trauma-based schizoid personality disorder, maybe there are things that we can do to change, because like they can treat borderline. That doesn't necessarily mean borderline is cured, but people can manage it better. And, you know, with the lack of research on how to help schizoids, I spend a lot of time thinking like, okay, how am I going to fix my life? Because if I don't, like, I have got comorbid depression, and if I don't, which gets worse over time, not linearly, but like the overall trajectory of my mental health is getting worse. And if I don't change something, I don't know how long I will end up living, basically. And so objectively, even though I don't like the idea of a relationship, because I'd already tried it and decided it wasn't for me. But back then I didn't know about the schizoid stuff, and I didn't know as much about the world and so on. And so objectively, the way I'm thinking about it is, okay, what made me like this? Not having my emotional needs met, you know, all this interpersonal stuff with my parents, secure attachments, blah, 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 blah. All that psychology stuff. And, I mean, I have seen people, I can't say who, but I have seen people who've had not quite the mental illness level that I've got, but they've had issues and have been in a lot of, like, bad relationships, but then they finally find someone who is like the right balance and who is a stable person and not abusive and actually meets those needs that they were missing earlier in life. And then their life becomes more stable and they seem better able to recover from what their issues were. I don't know 100% if that's possible for me, but I haven't really tried it in that way. Like my first relationship, that was not healthy. And then after that, I think it was just me trying to figure out what the heck. And I was dissociating and, yeah, it was kind of chaotic. And so I didn't really go into those relations. I mean, I didn't even expect the later relationships to last. I went into, especially the last one, I went into expecting it not to last. And I thought I would be dumped. But no, I had to do the dumping anyway. But so, like, while I don't know that my reasons for considering dating are any healthier, I think I've got a better perspective on what could be healthy, and I'm trying to be open to the idea that something I've dismissed might, like, if I happened to meet the right person, maybe that would help me heal from this situation, for one thing, but then maybe I would be able to feel stuff that I currently can't feel. And, 18 minutes. Yeah, no, let's keep going while I'm here. Well, so, like, it's a bit of an experiment. Yeah, I will get into this bit and then I'll come back around to the in real life dating options that there are. But so when I think about like my mental illness and what caused it and why I reject people, like this subjectively, I still feel like this is all garbage idea, but objectively, if you can separate your subjective self from objective thoughts, which I think schizoids should be more able to do, but I think if you're like deep into severe schizoid, or if you have the more schizophrenic related schizoid, I think this will be really hard. And as I said, there's a pride in being able to be alone. I think, you know, I've realized with the defense mechanisms, me being super sensitive, I think that's why my brain has told myself for so long, oh, I don't need anyone, and, you know, identifying with villains who say, oh, emotions are how you get into trouble, like fucking Doctor Who, what is it? Nightmare in Silver, when he gets his brain taken over by the Cybermen thing, and they're very like, you know, look at the situation emotions have gotten you into. Like, I find that relatable. I think because my brain is trying to protect me from emotions, because, I mean, these days I only have negative emotions, really, and they are painful as hell. It's weird that my brain won't let me feel the good stuff. to offset that? Like, why is my brain suddenly going, okay, you can feel shit? Or is that just a sign that I feel so shit that my brain can't stop that feeling? I don't know. But yeah, no, objectively, I'm just trying to like separate myself and see, okay, this is not normal or healthy according to the world that we live in. I can see that if I could overcome it, maybe I would be able to function in this world better, and maybe that would help with the depression. I hope I'm explaining this well. It's just like trying to challenge that, but you have to reach a certain level of, I guess, maturity and self-awareness and ability to think that maybe your entrenched ideas are wrong, which if you're early on in your schizoid journey, I think this will be really hard for you to consider. And like, if you have that pride still, and I still kind of have the pride because, you know, looking at people who are super desperate to find relationships, and like, you know, everyone's suffering through the pandemic lockdowns, and I'm like, it's like that sort of Bane meme. Anyway, thinking about things objectively though, I know, like, you know, I made that asexuality EP. I'm sort of jumping between, why don't I script stuff? Yeah. So I'm trying to rethink a lot of my beliefs and challenge them and see if there's a way that I can change myself to fit into society, but without, like, still being true to myself, but you can change. I think one of the weird things about a society, to get on another tangent, is we think our personalities are set, but that's not true. It can change. And also one way you can change is the whole fake it till you make it thing. You know, practicing behaviors. I think that's probably like how I ended up covert. Like, I was much more overtly schizoid in high school. You know, puberty is when a lot of mental illnesses really start doing things, but I was able to get through a lot and get myself back to this spot where I can at least talk. Like, I'm still not outgoing, rarely. But you know, just for example, like going and doing music and like doing the YouTube, now I can talk to a camera, and that's helped me talk in real life. So even if it's not a natural thing to me, getting the practice does help. And I don't know where I was going with that, but where I want to get up to is the asexuality thing. I know I made that EP, and there's some lines where, you know, I reference people asking if something happened to me as a kid, and at the time I didn't think so, because I assumed they meant, you know, certain kinds of abuse. But now I realize what happened to me is the emotional side of things, and something I'm starting to wonder about, which is gonna piss off a lot of people in that crowd. But you know, I think asexuality might be more linked to mental health and neurodevelopmental issues compared to, say, being gay or lesbian. I don't know enough about bi and how that works, but like, you know, I'm starting to think that asexuality is less natural and maybe is more of a medical issue, but not in the way that like mainstream people think. Because asexuality, it doesn't distress you. It's different to the people who, I don't know, can't get aroused or something and it upsets them. It's a different situation, and it's not celibacy. And this is where the nuance is though, because yeah, okay, maybe asexuality is medically caused, like whether it's autistic people or whether it's traumatized people with personality disorders, schizoids who are asexual. I'm just starting to think, like, are there asexuals who don't have any kind of condition? I don't know. I feel like there are gay people who don't have any kind of condition, but I don't know about asexuals. Obviously, I haven't really sat down to look up all this. I could be wrong. It's just, the only thing is, like, okay, maybe it is medically caused, but I don't think that means that people necessarily need to change, because if you're already in that situation and you're fine with it, cool. It's just an interesting thing about the potential cause of it. So that's probably going to piss off people who don't get a sense of nuance, that something can be medical caused but not necessarily need to change. I don't know, I haven't really fully formed my thoughts on that yet, but that's just something that's I'm starting to think about. So instead of getting mad at me, maybe give me some thoughts for and against, so I can try and figure that out a bit more. Anyway, it's made me wonder, like, okay, coming around to more of the dating stuff, I think the first thing you need to decide is whether you're gonna date straight or gay. And I have been looking at straight because I assume that before trauma I probably would have ended up straight, statistically speaking, but also based on how I've dated in the past and just like interactions with guys and girls. I don't think I would have been gay. And then also, who's gonna open my jars? If I get a jar and I can't open it, am I gonna hand that to another chick? No, I need to hand it to a dude. So dudes have their uses, right? There's me being cynical again. But okay. So I looked up these dating options, and if I bring this up again, I made a mistake because in this spot I said singles nights only or speed dating only, and it turns out there's more than one kind of singles night. And also there's different kinds of speed dating. So this is like, I think one of the things that I do is I get a bit interested in novelty, because novelty hasn't had a chance to get boring yet. And if I have a lot of anhedonia, you know, I need to keep finding the new shit to just keep me interested, because old stuff is so boring and it's already shown to disappoint me. So I think that's how I got into makeup, is like it's so new, there's so much to learn. And then I got too deep, and then it's hard to maintain the interest or even practice. But yeah, no, so looking at this stuff. Alright, so the reason this video, I'm doing it today, is because I actually signed up to a singles dinner. And then less than a day later, after I like paid and all that kind of stuff, they send me a thing saying, oh, we've had to cancel it, we've had too many people pull out. So that's not happening, and I feel like they saw me coming, because I probably would have dressed a little bit crazy, put everyone off, because also dating locally, so the area that I live in is reasonably well off, most people, and so it's like increasing the chances of finding the rich man. I have a friend who is an absolute gold digger, and I should probably have talked to her about this, because her take would be fucking hilarious. Anyway, locally though, also, people are more likely to have similar values to me. Like, one of the things with the apps that I found really difficult is, like, it's so hard to find people with similar values, and I think the guys just, a lot of them will just match with whoever. They don't care, and so if, as a chick, you match, some of them won't even reply after that, or get in contact in any way, because they were just doing everyone, and then they finally get a match and they're like, oh, okay, no. And then there's the other thing where they tend to assume that if you match with them that you're already into them, whereas my way of thinking about it, and this is probably most chicks, maybe, I don't really know chicks very well, but my way of thinking about it is, no, if I'm gonna match with someone, it's I'm willing to talk to them to get to know them more. It's not that I give a shit now. Like, how can I, from most of them have such shitty profiles? Yeah, but if I find something interesting, like, maybe I could talk to that person. But then they assume that I've already got some kind of feelings. I fucking don't. Anyway, so the thing about meeting in real life is locationally more likely to have similar values. Also, so, like, there's also, like, matchmaking in real life, and the reason I'm not interested in that is it's similar to the dating apps where you have to approve the person you're going to meet, and so then they might already assume that you have some kind of interest in them when really you just want to get to know them better. I know I'm going in circles, or not really going in a logical line, but, so the singles nights, speed dating, whatever, you're still getting to know people. There's less obligation there, like less assumption that you already feel something, so you get to know people without that pressure. With the singles night that I signed up to, it was going to be a dinner, and people who are happy to go to dinners, a little bit more classy than there's also singles nights, which are just these huge parties. And I'm not going to go to one of the parties, like having to be in a room with 100 people, probably listening to crap music and trying to And if someone has signed up to one of those party things, they're probably a little bit too outgoing for me. But yeah, the dinner's a little bit classier. Yeah. And then the speed dating thing, well, I couldn't find any close enough to me. Because, like, it's not just about finding someone local with similar values and potentially money. It's also about me being able to actually motivate myself to go somewhere. So if it's too far away, this isn't something I'm interested in enough to be able to do it. This is just sort of like a curiosity, cynical, challenging myself, challenging my beliefs to maybe... And, you know, we're knowing more about my own psychology and having accepted a few things about my own psychology. So the speed dating, I don't know, like, you only get, like, 5 minutes to talk to each person. But then at the end, they have, like, a mingle session. And it's like, I don't know what the singles dinner would have been like. And then they've also got, like, trivia nights. And some of them are, like, speed dating trivia, which I have no idea how that's supposed to work. And then they also had singles hikes. And then they have, like, matched speed dating. And then there's so many things and I can't fucking keep up. There's, like, one thing where it was, like, singles tennis, which I would absolutely fail at. I haven't played tennis in a damn long time. And I was never good at it then, and I won't be any good at it now. And my depth perception sometimes gets a little bit messed up by glasses, so I'd probably have to wear contacts. And what a lot of effort it is to get out of the house and doing things. Anyway, so those are some thoughts. But yeah, like when I said the singles nights and speed dating, it turns out to be more complicated than just that, so I probably shouldn't have wasted my time asking that. Although I am curious about the person who didn't like the idea of speed dating but did like the idea of singles nights. They didn't leave a comment, so I don't know. Oh, I actually did get some comments though. Shall I just go through them quickly? I didn't set them up to look to show on OBS, but so there was also a comment telling me there's an app for neurodiverse people. Okay, why that doesn't appeal? One, it's still an app, and another problem with the app is when they first start an app, they seem to work well because they need to attract people to their platform. But the moment they get successful, then they need to monetize that, and that's when they start making things shit and start charging for more stuff. And it's in their interests that you don't find a match, because then you stay on their platform for longer. And so that's an inherent problem with apps. I don't know how any app would be able to maintain quality without falling down into that trap. So that's one thing. The other thing is, making it all neurodiverse people does not appeal to me. I think I said that in a comment to them. Where was it? Yeah. So I don't find neurodiverse people any easier to socialize with than other people. They're just, like, you know, it's still the same hit and miss, and then depending on what their actual quirks are, sometimes they can be more tiring. So that isn't helpful. I also, what did I say? I don't like the term neurodivergent in general either, because it kind of glorifies people's difficulties, and there's a lot of activism around it. And there's also like an us and them, you know, neurodiverse versus neurotypical. I'm like, do we need to constantly have us versus them shit? So, I don't know. I think, like, some people would sign up not having many thoughts about that and just going with it, but then there would be people who sign up with too much politics, and I ain't got time for that. But then the last thing is I don't consider myself to be neurodiverse. I was under the understanding that neurodiverse is more to do with neurodevelopmental conditions like autism and ADHD, whereas I have a mental illness. Yes, I think differently to the average person, but I think it's for different reasons. And I don't know, like, it's like, I guess neurodiverse, diverse means different. you could apply it widely, but then eventually you get the same problem that autism currently has, where it's become such a spectrum that people with the mildest symptoms have started claiming the label, and until it eventually means nothing. And then the people with really severe autism and their families are starting to push for things like profound autism or some kind of other label, because their original label has been taken over by the weak end of the spectrum or the mild end of the spectrum. So, like, I don't feel like I really qualify for that app. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like not a focus I'm interested in. Another comment I got was just go out and talk to girls. I don't know if that person realizes that I'm a girl and I'm not gay. And like, I have female friends I don't really see very often, but I have them. It hasn't changed anything for me. So yeah, and I think pre-trauma I probably would have been more likely to be straight. Now, that's more of a joke comment, I hope. But anyway, date an asexual dude was another one. And, yeah... I mean, I've already mentioned that, like, so asexuality, even if I'm wrong that it's probably a sort of medical, mental health, neurodevelopmental issue, even if I'm wrong, and maybe asexuality can come about on its own, I feel like there is a higher proportion of asexuals who have some kind of issue. And I already have issues. I don't need to be spending a fuckload of time with someone else who has issues. It kind of happened to me at school a bit, because I was a loner. I was happy to be alone. And then there are losers who are alone but desperately don't want to be, and then they're so clingy that they push people away, and then they're even more alone, and they can't tell the difference, so they see me as a loner sitting on my own, and then they gravitate, and it's super annoying. So I'm sort of getting a bit off topic. But, like, basically, so, like, they've definitely got issues, because they've probably been bullied, and they've gone through stuff. They don't have the schizoid defenses to withstand bullying. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't even remember why that came up, being around people with issues. Okay. I really hope... I'm not trying to make people upset, but this is a thing that happened to me that the other person doesn't know about. But so in school, a lot of people assumed that I was really good friends with a particular chick. What I tended to do is I would, like, have one main friend at a time, and it would kind of cycle through, and it's just like, okay, that's who I'm talking to these days. But yeah, so at one point, the person who filled that role was going through some intense stuff. Like, you know, kids in school go through a lot of intense stuff. The thing is, I was also deeply depressed. But because being schizoid, don't show it, and so this person was, like, crying at lunch in the bathroom constantly, and I was having to sort of hold their hand, and that sucked because I was also feeling like that, but no one was supporting me because they couldn't see it. And I just don't have the energy to deal with someone like that who might have more issues than me, or, like, more visible issues than me. I've already got that with the glass child trauma, with my brother, disabled brother, having more issues, more obvious issues than me. He's got a happier life than me, but more obvious issues, so people tend not to help me, support me, whatever. Like, I need someone to look after me for a change, so I need them to not have those issues. It's a bit like, you know, with Triton, I was very careful to get a very stable, healthy, well-brought-up dog. I mean, there's always things that can happen to him later in life, but I have stacked the probabilities so that instead of me worrying all the time, like, as much as I loved Hope, he had so many issues. It was so stressful for me all the time, worrying. And even when he was healthy, when's his next medical episode going to be? That was a lot of stress, so I was looking after him a lot. He helped me, but I was not looking after him a lot. Whereas with Triton, yes, I'm looking after him, and I'm putting a lot of effort into it, but he's also stable enough to help me in terms of getting out of the house, and he knows when I'm upset. You know, even there's one incident where I was starting to tear up, but I was trying to hide how upset I was, and he knew, and he started trying to comfort me instead of eating his ice cubes. You know, so I've now got a dog who is better placed to look after me as much or possibly more than I look after him. And so the same thing, if I'm going to do this dating thing, I cannot be with someone who has, like, maybe they could have one issue or like a mild issue, but I can't have someone that I'm going to have to put all that energy into when what I really need is someone to fucking put some energy into me for a change. I don't think I can form an attachment with someone who can't be that. Yeah, because, you know, like, one of my issues is, like, my parents not meeting my emotional needs as a kid, and I can't have someone be emotionally draining or just draining in general at this point because I have so little energy. And I just feel like asexuals, in terms of the probability, more likely to have issues, so that doesn't help me. And also, if I think that asexuality might be medically caused, and, you know, maybe I wasn't meant to be this way, then I've got to be open to the idea that everything else can change, and maybe it'll turn out that I'm straight. We'll find out if anything ever happens. But the trouble is, so with the main real life, I mean, I could probably do more Googling to see if there are other agencies. I think I've looked at like 2 or 3. It's a bit... There were probably 2 or 3 main ones, and there are no events. There was just the one that got cancelled for tonight. Or at least tonight when I'm filming, because this video is getting long, I might not actually post it today. But, yeah, I don't know if, like, that was going to be the one that I go to and then come home and be like, hey guys, I did this thing. But now it might not happen. Like, I signed up to their mailing list so they can tell me if there's another one at the same venue that I don't hate. But mostly they just have, like, those parties, and then there's speed dating, but, like, all the girl spots are booked out. And it's weird, the dinner one is the only one where the male spots were booked out. I don't know if that's a gender difference. Like, do chicks prefer speed dating for some reason? I wonder, like, speed dating, though, I think it only works if both people are smart enough to know that it's about getting to know each other and asking the right questions. Because one of those dating apps did have, like, a kind of speed matchmaking thing where you had, you know, a really short amount of time to talk to people, and people would just go, hey. And so I started, you know, when we got these speed matches, I started just bombarding them with questions, or like, you know, hey, this is me, tell me about this about yourself. And I think I put them off because they didn't understand what I was doing. But, like, there's a timer. I think you only had like 1 minute to talk to people. I don't know. But yeah, like, there was a timer counting down, and these people would just not say anything. It's like when I went to art school and we had 3 minutes to make a presentation about our work in progress, and I went first, and I basically did a Ben Shapiro rap and got through my entire presentation in 3 minutes, same as another class where we had 2 minutes. And yeah, that one we had 2 minutes, I rapped so hard, everyone is just sitting there like, holy shit. And then the rest of my group had to present, and they were back to being super slow. Anyway, no, that one with the 3 minutes thing, right? I got through my entire presentation, answered all the questions in the assignment, and was done. But then the next person gets up, and they go on this waffle about some side story of, like, they went to a sacred place and blah, blah, blah. Didn't answer any of the questions. 3 minutes is up. And then because they didn't cover it, the teacher, instead of giving them a fail, because we can't do that, can we, in an art school, the teacher then specifically asked them the questions, and it's like, oh my god, what a waste of time. And so that assessment should have been done that class, but instead we had to do it over 2 classes, maybe 3, just to get through everyone, because all these artists, they fucking waffle. How hard is it at postgrad level to read the fucking course outline and do the assignment? Like, if you are post-grad, presumably you have passed undergrad. You know how to be a student. You know how to do an assignment. But no, all these fucking people somehow made it into post-grad. I realize it's art, but, like, come on. Come on! This is one of like fucking, I don't know how this ended up being a rant about academia, but for fuck's sake. And like just the quality control of people in general. I have another package to open though. I hope everything's okay in it. It's just like, and me boot, it's new, but like the fluff has come out from the heel there, and so we're gonna have to go and get that exchanged. It's just like, why aren't things good anymore? Why is there no attention to detail? It's not just capitalism. I think it's because people are fucking lazy and there's no attention to detail, and I'm an attention to detail thing, and this is something my psychologist has said about me as well. It's just like, I'm conscientious. And because other people don't work like that, no, it's hard for me to deal with, because like when I say I'm going to do something, I either do it or I update people and say I can't do it anymore, or, you know, whatever. At least I fucking tell them. But most people will say something and then just not do it or half-ass it, and I should have, you know, even working like fucking office works, and I was the only person actually putting effort into making my shit good. And then everyone else just doesn't give a shit. They go home, they forget everything. And it's like, I work too hard. I need to stop. But I can't half-ass things. What's the point of doing anything if you're not gonna do it properly? Just fucking don't. But maybe that's like, you know, so with all this dating stuff, if I am going to challenge my assumptions, my core beliefs, my personality, whatever the fuck that is, I don't even have a strong enough sense of identity to be sure anymore. If I ever was sure. But like, maybe that's also why I try this stuff to such a degree, because I'm conscientious enough that I'm like, what else have I not tried? Alright, let's try and give that a go and try and do it properly. But yeah, I don't know. If they don't have any events, it's just not going to happen. All the events are too far away, or they're singles parties, and it's just like, at least now I've got like almost endless data on my phone though, because some of them want you to have an app, and that's how you find your next match or something. It's fucking, I don't know, the tech is like, why can't it just be like that episode of House where House and Wilson and the Aussie guy, they go speed dating, and the Aussie guy, because apparently he's cute, or at least that's what they all say. They say he's cute, and so he's like, they tell him that he has to act like a total repulsive moron, and they bet that he'll still get more matches than them. Whereas they just go and be doctors, and, because, you know, chicks like doctors, because they're rich, or something. And, yeah, sure enough, the Aussie dude, pretending to be a total moron dropkick, he still gets more matches, and no, they had like cards at the end, and that's about all I know about speed dating. I need to go and have lunch or something. This video is too long and it's all over the place, but those are some thoughts. I don't have the energy to properly structure videos at the moment, so you'll fucking deal with what you fucking got, and I'm going. Bye.